Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Apoorv Malik, and I welcome you all in today's webinar session on behalf of TNV Academy. First of all, let me briefly introduce our speaker of the day. For today's webinar, we are glad to have Mr. Ajay Bajpai with us as the guest speaker. The topic with which he is here today with all of us is non-conformity and report writing as per clause 9.2. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Bajpai, has done his bachelor's in engineering in metallurgy stream. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 37001, 22000, 27001, 13485, 22301, and 50001 standards, respectively. He has an industrial experience of around 15 plus years in field of implementation of management system standards and around 25 plus years in field of auditing and training. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and how ISO standards are implemented within organizations. It was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Bajpai. I may request Mr. Ajay Bajpai now to please take over and start the webinar.
Thanks, Apoor. Good morning to the entire team who is going to participate in this webinar today for next 45 to 50 minutes around, and then question answer session. So those who have attended the last webinar on the similar subject, this is in continuity to that, and their concept will be more clear, I believe, because they have been through the webinar last week, and I hope they have also reviewed and viewed the standard as are referred above, 19,011-17021, because I have shared a lot of inputs with clauses and sub-clauses with the team who has joined today. And I've also shared the webinar with most of you, which is available on our TNV Academy website, Institute website, our YouTube channels. And I also shared with many of you on social media. So I hope you have gone through that and concepts are more clear. We should always understand when we refer the subject like non-conformity. I am very happy and equally sorry to say that this concept has not been very clear since the very beginning of the documentation and implementation of the ISO series of standard. And happy to that extent that this is those who had experience, those who have learned it, those who have been got the opportunity to work into industry, particularly into industrial environment, they understand non-conformity much clearer. Those who have also worked into office environment and had the opportunity of having discussions with senior trainers and auditors who had decades of experience into industry, their concepts are becoming more and more clear, and they are not one of those who are confused lots, and they don't confuse others. So language, as is the beginning of the standard at top, is one of the very, very critical parameter of NC form filling. I call it NC form filling because that is the actual exercise. You start filling the NC form and related actions. But before we get into this form filling, we need to understand several things. So the standard, the requirements, the products and processes of the company, the service activities of the organization, your own understanding of the situation. How NC comes out into your hands, that is as a result of document review. It is important to understand what are the various types of NCs coming into our hands and what is the source, what is the root of the NC. Then we can see and understand how to write and what to write by utilizing the good language. I always say language is a very, very funny situation. Today morning, somebody has wrote something very good on, the IEF websites with respect to the ISO 9001 certification being registered on that. So people have started, discussions. Some very good, decent gentleman has become suddenly angry with somebody because of the language problem. So NC is something which may create a lot of nuisance within the organization, within the team of auditors, within the implementer, if language is not correct. And it is very much relevant to documentation, because documentation is what? It is the English language in most of the situations. And nowadays, in regional languages also, in many districts and countries and so on and globe. So one of the sources coming from manuals or equivalent documentation and other supporting documentation, which we have discussed in last many webinars. The procedure, the work instruction, the SOP, the forms, registers, the various softwares, they are all document review kind of a situation. So NC format can be filled when you get a point raising from this kind of a review activity. Then what happens? We are also continuously into a situation of implementation when we are conducting the audit, stage 1 audit or internal audit. So what do? We look at activity and various processes. So various NCN observations will come into our hands, into the hands of the auditors when they are doing a verification of the implementation of that. When they see how the machines are working, when they see how the temperature monitoring is being done, when they see how the operation theater of a hospital is conducting its function, when they see how a marketing organization is functioning into CRM functions or the CMS functions. So many points are coming out of those implementation. Then the points will come from physical observations. I have discussed earlier, there are many standards where physical operations are key to manufacturing of NC, I would say at times. When you are visiting, for example, for FSMS audit, you are using your indriyas, basic senses of your bodies, different kind of smells, feelings, you take decisions. You listen to the noise, vibrations. You see how people behave physically into a physical environment when a conveyor belt is moving, when a heavy machine is loaded or unloaded in case of OSAS audit. So a lot of observations come when we make a physical visit to the site and we do observation of physical situations. Next is interview. We have discussed audit consists of a lot of time spent into interview of auditing, question answers. There are a lot of sessions on their checklist, their report, their format, their the technical parameters checking. You ask them. You ask them about general activity also. Sometimes people will not understand what is that, but experienced auditors understand that. They can take out a lot of points to write into NC format by asking questions on general activity. Like what time you come to office, sir? What time you have sir lunch break? What time you have tea time? What is your gym time into the company? Because various NCs have got gyms into the organization. What is your extempore gamba going on into company when you are into a cultural situation? Because if we are into SA audit, that is a part of the activity that you are responding to the cultural activities of the organization. Maybe in a situation where there are crutches, there are ladies, and there are small kids into the organization in a CSR audit or SA 8000 kind of an audit. So audit is audit. It is related to working environment, cultural activities, and infrastructure. So general activities are also key to find out the points which can ultimately be noted into the NC form. We ask about roles and responsibilities. This is a very critical area, roles and responsibility. A lot of points will come out of this activity, which will ultimately be noted into the NC form and formats and register depending upon company, maybe software, because this is where we find a lot of issues coming out. Roles are clear, responsibilities are clear, or may not be clear depending upon how good or how bad is the implementation system of an organization at the time when we are conducting a particular audit. Discussions. We are also having a lot of discussions with the auditing, with the department, with the top management regarding what? Various kind of subjects. We may discuss the KGF2 also with them, maybe in the beginning of the audit. Sometimes some audit is very tough. He's not opening up. What do? I have taught you the principles of body languages, how to make an auditee speak in earlier webinars. So what do? You don't discuss the Lal Singh Chadha with them. You don't discuss Kareena Kapoor's latest, fashion designing plan with them. Maybe a lady auditee in front of you. So what do? She's not opening up. So there are techniques to make them open. So subject and activity goes down into discussion if you are a seasoned and experienced auditor, and then you make the person in front of you to open his arms, spread his legs in a proper way, suitable for a conduct of a good value-added audit, and then you get points for the reporting format. You discuss a lot of things on process. Every activity is a process. We have learned that, using the principles of PDCA, using the principles of incoming material to the final product dispatch and customer feedback, conduct of this webinar, and then follow-up actions by a proven team and involvement of those who are learning in this webinar, all a process. So we discussed them regarding the process of their organization. That is why I always say, before start of the audit, understand their process, and then understand and discuss about their products and services. Many organizations, if you leave them with some NC formats filled without having a reference of products and services, they will say, thank you very much, sir. We don't need certain audit, we don't need such NC formats, which are not talking of a products and processes at all. What is this audit report NC format? It is not related to my company. I have practically been to a situation where some very, good companies, they have come back to our type of certification bodies in past 20-25 years back, maybe 10 years back, few maybe 5 years back, that if this report belongs to our company, sir, it is only the name of our company written somewhere in the corner. Nothing else is belonging to our company operation. But the auditor have not had a discussion on products and process. So what points have gone into the NC report are not relevant to his activity. So he is not at all happy and satisfied. And maybe after second or third surveillance, when the tender purpose is over, he will drop the certification. Most of the cases of dropping the certifications are because the auditors have not gone to this situation of discussion of these subjects. Then general observation. You get lot of highly, interested NC format points by general observations. Auditing is not a huge or big technology for those who understand. NC writing is a very, very logical, simple, and common sense activity. A lot of points will come from general observations. The moment you see a file traveling to you, because you have asked for the review of that file, you can make out. Experienced auditors of 3-4 decades, they will understand that yes, there is NC or not. We should not be react to that, but this is just an example. It is the general observation which make a lot of key points to NC writing point. File coming to you is of red color or green color or white color. In the company, they have a system that red color files are handled only by top management. Green color files are related to closed NC activity. Yellow color files are related to under process NC and so on. So these things will come out of general observations. You are roaming around into the company, roaming around and wandering about into the physical activity part of the audit is the key to good writing of the NC. A lot of points will come from general observation. So this is the method. These are the some thumb rules whereby we can understand how we get the points to write in NC format. NC format is a self-guided format. It almost explains everything depending upon the language and type which a particular company or certification body or accreditation board have followed, because I had the opportunity to see through all this in my 40 years of career. So everyone defines little bit in their own way, and that is acceptable in the supply chain, I would say, of the ISO community, because the ultimate aim is improvement, not the language and the type of format. So let's go further to NC is observed when reporting in formats. We have understood earlier. I'm again repeating. What is NC? Non-fulfillment of a requirement. Means what? Non-fulfillment of the requirement of 9001 clause 4.2.3 or clause 5.3, or their own standard operating procedure to handle the customer, or their own general observation of entry exit point into the company. They all makes a difference, and senior auditors will always catch that. But it requires a teamwork to write. Writing into the format is not an individual's work. If they really want to make improvement, they need to involve all these entities, including interested parties, when they are going to write their points into the format. And what is very important, we always say your NC format remains a draft format unless it is approved by the final authority of the acceptance of the organization in case of internal audit or external. Unless that is accepted finally by the client's top management in case of a third party audit of AB or CB, it is not a filled format. It will be a filled format accepted only when all this is done. They are involved, root cause analysis has been done, correction and corrective actions have been written into the format. When they are filled, written, I would say till that time also many formats live the life of a draft format, draft report. Because once the report of a third party auditor submitted to whom? Certification body team, they review it. And as per the discussion I had in the first slide, they review the language. They look at what is the meaning of the sentences. Language is always a funny situation when written or understood. I have been a chance to look at the best NC reports found filled by the best certification bodies of the world and accreditation boards. But the sorry state of affairs I have seen, even those were not understood by many at the clientele at ground levels. We, by virtue of being a team of into ISO committees and AF and the IF decisions for last 4 decades and the CB association for last 3.5 decades, we have been into a situation to discuss all this with some confidentiality kept and some transparency kept to look through it. And we have still been able to find the solutions, but we do not know whether they were the correct solutions or not, because there is no end to the continual improvement and more thoughts and more new situations coming into the solutions making when we are getting into the root cause analysis and corrections and corrective actions. So all these need to be filled adequately corrective into these forms. This need to be understood as I discussed in last seminar. Conceptually understand these points and then go into the writing of the NC format. Further involve these entities. If you don't involve them, try to be extraordinary smart. We meet many extraordinary smart deputy MRs, assistant MRs, as is the term being used by many companies worldwide. When they are large set of organizations, some 10,000 persons are working. So they have got MR, deputy MR, coordinator, deputy coordinator, and so on. So sometimes the junior coordinators try to act smart. They say, no, sir, I will write a corrective action plan. So experienced auditor will try to discourage you. Sir, you are an experienced person, I have understood, but please involve your main coordinator, main management representative, the senior management representative, whatever is the term being used at that point of a situation, to fill the report format with respect to acceptance. Number one, that NC form is filled. You have not understood as a coordinator the language. So how will you fill it up? So if the senior team is involved, then they understand the repercussion of a language and they then go on into understanding of the language of the NC point, then further filling of the CR, CA and closing actions and so on. Further involve head of department managers in form filling. Form filling should not be done individually and in isolation. If they're all involved, value-added NC report format will be available in front of top management. It will be shared with the certification body. It will be reviewed by accreditation board. Because NC format filling is not the end with the internal audit team. Because that internal audit situation, when this NC form was filled, will be reviewed by what? Second party auditors, by the customer at times. They are knowledgeable customers. They want NC to be shared with them. They review it. Then certification body team reviews it. Then accreditation board team reviews. It goes even to the peer assessment of the accreditation board at times. I have seen that, and that is the fact of the life. So the language or point written wrongly into a NC format, it be critical to a stage where many stakeholders will be affected. So it is critical that head of department managers and then involved operators views, workers views and discussions and replies. I as a production manager may not give a reply to a NC raised for a particular machine's capability, which was supposed to be 2.2, but now it has gone down to 1.85, and that is a non-conformity against my own documented system. So unless I involve this operator and worker, because he knows what is the machine capability limits, to what level it can be improved upon or not, because my whole philosophy of quality objectives or EMS objectives or resource objectives will fail if operator and worker is not a part of the reply giving process into the NC format when he is talking of corrective actions maybe. And involve top management and seek commitment. We always say, as experienced auditor, seek their commitment when this the NC form is being filled at the corrective action stage, particularly because there the audit manager has said, we'll sir, don't worry, we'll replace this machine. He is a very enthusiastic person. He does not know the repercussions. He even does not know the cost of that machine, or even he does not know whether the machine is available in India or not. The machine needs to be imported from Hong Kong or maybe Ireland or maybe the US. So he will just make a commitment. It's the wrong commitment. And this NC, instead of becoming a positive NC, become a negative NC. It will never be meeting its ultimate requirement intention. So seek the commitment of top management. If this person, production enthusiastic person, manager, has to write, yes, machine will replace. Seek the commitment of top management, whether they are ready to replace the machine or not, whether they can give commitment or not. Otherwise, this NC format will never be effectively closed. So, NC form filling should be done by involving the top management with their respective committee. So, we go further. We have discussed this into last seminar. But what is important is now how to fill format effectively. We are having the NC observation format. How to do format filling effectively when it comes to a situation of a major non-conformity. When system has failed, we have understood it in last discussion. So we need to do the form filling effectively so that the intended results are achieved ultimately. Minor NC also we have discussed, but now we are at a point of as per form filled. Many organizations into the situations of internal audit we have seen, they will write something into NC closures. They will say yes, it will be done. Yes, it will be done by tomorrow. Yes, I will get it done. He's a single person. He's already occupied with 99% of his capacity to the organization. It is only 0.001% of his capacity is left to perform in the company for next 1 month. If he makes a commitment, I will do it, I will get it done, means it's wrong. It is not a question of minor NC. As we discussed earlier, and I am again emphasizing that minor to major is a very slow journey. It is very easy that NC from minor to major conversion will take place if not handled effectively, if the form filling is not done adequately. Okay, similar way, observations are also reported by many of the internal auditors, many of the certification bodies, many of the accreditation board by giving them different names. So don't get confused or misguided by the names. Just look that yes, a point has been noted into the report format. So, which is a practical point, so take action. Same as the experience of AFI and OFI may fail, may not fail, may fail, may not fail. But yes, if shared as an active auditee who wants to bring about improvements into himself, I always say into various seminars, and not only me, most of the the experienced auditors and trainers, first train yourself. First have experience of the situation yourself, and then try to train others. So go to the point, do Gamba, you know, be a part of the quality circle. We do a lot of seminars on quality circles also. So utilize those experiences and try to fill the forms by doing a Gamba, means going to the site and then fill the form. Not try to fill the forms by sitting into a luxurious air conditioning situations always. That's a very risky situation. Then what are the desired results of this NC form? Verification of the implementation. A good filled up NC form will be giving an indication to the organizational top management that yes, this is the verification of implementation. Our internal auditor teams are operational and they are giving me indication that implementation is going verified. Value addition by NC form. I have discussed it earlier and I always believe that NC is the only thing into the world ISO community systems available which can bring about value additions. To do that, internal control checking by NC form tracking. NC forms have been filled, information has been filled. So now the internal controls are being checked by looking at the NC form tracking. Then NC form will also indicate what is the concept of root cause analysis. Have we understood it? Looking at the NC form itself, the way it has been filled, the experienced auditor will come to know in few minutes or few seconds, depending upon his knowledge and capability, that the Baba root cause analysis is not done. This is filled just by that, by the MR or the coordinator or by the department head. So again coming to concept of correction by NC form. We are writing some point into the, as a correction activity, but have we understood the concept of corrections? NC will be raised against the understanding of itself, by the organizational knowledge or competence itself will be put to a question. Concept of corrective action via the NC format. NC format has got a corrective action situations also. Concepts is to understand. We will also go to the form filling when time comes. But this is a subject which is roaming into the minds of everybody globally, and this is the only most critical parameter of the management systems, not only ISO based systems, any management systems, any training, anything, Six Sigma, 5S, whatever. If these things are considered as a point conceptually, and we can then fill the forms into the reports by taking the corrective actions effectively, then the war is one. War of improvements is one. Moving closer to third party certification. If and whenever the situation that yes, NC formats are in front of the top management, the active top management will review it. They will not be believing into the pressing of the systems, which unfortunately has been happening globally for a couple of years. But now again, the global community is waking up. They again are, coming to a situation where they feel that the old gold days were really bringing about improvements into the organization. I have, many organizations whom I have regular touch and regular discussions. They tell Mr. Ajay, if you remove this NC system from our organization, we will go many yards below the ground level. Our organization will collapse because they have understood the concept. They have enjoyed the NC format. They have enjoyed the materials which were written into the NC format, and they think yes, they are moving closer to third party certification because these NC formats effectively filled give me an indication that now our organization is into a situation where we will pass the third party certification activity, and in time to come we may be awarded a certificate. It is indication towards continual improvement. It is the NC format field which can indicate how continual improvement can be brought about in the organization further working. For further planning, NC format, when we look at, we always need to write the report point by looking at what has been missed, how it has been missed, who missed it. I am repeating it, few of the points from the last seminar, but before we get into the filling of the NC format, we need to be competent to fill a format. I want to see that yes, we all become competent to fill this NC format and we understand the form status. So all these is very, very important before we go into really filling out the forms. Okay. Then NC form status decisions. What are the decisions? How we going for further filling of the form, further writing of the NC point, observation point. Then the most critical thing I always will stop at into slide, how closing will be done. That is the key to the NC format. As I discussed earlier, best of the certification bodies fill format, best of the accreditation board have reviewed it, but the whole lot was still confused at that point of time. That how closing will be done. See, how closing will be done is very simple to see, read and write. But will this closing will bring improvement into the respective management system? Will this organization respect us when we visit into surveillance audit or recertification audit? Will they give us respect by saying that yes sir, you came here 3 years back, but one NC form has been closed in such a beautiful way. I will say beautiful because we should love the NC, I said earlier. So love can be generated with an object or an individual or a format if it is beautiful. Nobody will like to love a dirty thing. So we have to beautify a format. How do we do that? If it is a format, if it is a point where the closing can be done effectively to bring improvement, then it is good. What lessons are learned? We have done one round of internal audit into the company already when we are doing the preparations. What lessons we have learned from the internal audit field, from the first round of internal audit done in the month of maybe May 2022. Now we are going to conduct another round of audit in September end. What lesson we have learned from the NC format filling activity into the May or June audit? That's important. And then how action will be converted to organizational knowledge documented. When we see all above, type of NC, type of format, type of closing, type of improper closing and so on, then we understand how this knowledge of organization of NC writing, NC filling, NC analysis team can be converted to organizational knowledge, and whether the team is there, team has retired, team has left, team has been fired, shut it out, organizational knowledge of filling the format is kept intact within the organization and they can still go on getting the benefits of NC fillings. Then we are running various NC formats as per the plan, as per the samples. What is important? When into internal audit or at time when we go for external audit also, we like to discuss with the team. This is the format, this is the sample, this is a good looking sample. Any sample can be further modified, so there is nothing like 100% achievement into any ISO or other system, because that stops us from moving further. So any sample which we see today is good for today. It may not be very good for tomorrow. So we see that the formats, we keep on developing it, and we go for, I again stop at the critical points here, precise calculated information. If NC form is not filled with the support of accurate and precisely calculated information, it can never bring desired results into the organizational management system. It will not make our client happy and satisfied by looking at the NC report. So calculations are important. We cannot just say that yes, the die is not working correct. This marketing team is not working efficiently and effectively. Effectively and efficiently means what? Their performance of this team of 3 marketing managers was 79.2% in last quarter. It has not improved further. It is 78.2% now. Why? You should be calculative and then fill the information into the report format. Die is not performing well because life is die is over. Life of a non-ferrous die of a nickel chromium grade maybe 2.5 years for a particular product. It passed this life. So please try to write these kind of things into the NC format. Then NC writing will be bringing results and people will respect our NC format. This I think we have discussed. This also we have discussed. Analysis. Now we come to the analysis part. Advanced future action is today. NC form is filled. Somehow the teams have filled it. This somehow is a very, very critical word, because in many situations, first party, second party, third party auditors all are short of time. Why? Because they already have got several other things to do. That's the fact of the life. Jaldi jaldi kar do, quickly complete the audit is the key word coming from the top managements in the organizations. We always see it, hearing every day and day out 24 hours. This is a keyword, and we are getting disturbed by these keywords because we want to study the audit report formats on NC policy, objectives, opportunity chart. When system has taken running into the organization, they have run 100 meters of race in first term of their audit schedule. Now they have to go to 200 meters. Maybe finally they have to go to marathon. So if they don't do the study, how they will reach a marathon situation, how they will be certified ultimately, and how they will achieve the desired results of the certification. So it is important to conduct this activity, and they again should do the analysis of the NC reports. Organizations and auditors and trainers have got their own methods of conducting analysis: NC-wise analysis, clause-wise analysis, function-wise analysis, unit-wise analysis, auditor-wise analysis. That is what we call sometimes as calibration of auditors, calibration of trainers. So all this needs to be done. Then NC system brings improvement. Then coming to a situation which we find again very weak into many organizations, because they think internal audit and NC format is now become a Bible. It's now Bhagavad Gita. It is the Quran for us. Nobody can change it. This is the best document we have. But that is where they do mistakes. When initially they have developed this internal audit system, this NC form and format, this NC register, or the software of the NC tracking system of writing and getting results out of it, situation was different. Their team was at a different level. The knowledge of the team was a different level. Technology was different. Design and development of organization were different. The standard version was different. We have seen organizations still claiming certified against 9001, 2000. I don't want to name organization, but they are some of the multinational also. They keep on claiming, their marketing team still says that we are certified against ISO 9001, 2000 standard. I don't know whether to laugh or cry or shout or what to do. But the problem is because of this. We don't review our systems, we don't review our format, we don't track the effectiveness of our NC format, which was designed in a particular era, which was designed in a time when hard copies were made, there were not software. So it's important that we audit this function effectively. Then what do? We need to conduct an effective review of what? All these system, management information system, management review meeting, whatever we call it, of NC functions, of NC reporting formats, NC closing, NC trends. If you do not do that, we may do a second or third or fourth round of NC fillings by internal audit system. We have seen into organizations, they have got, the bundles of NC reports files filled, but if they do not do trends monitoring, if they do not see how effectively the closures has been, how meaningful the closures have been, and if they have not made and implemented for further improvements and future actions, the cause is lost of NC forms and NC form filling. And then we may not reach as our thought initially into the implementation system that yes, improvements will be there. Improvements will be there, yes, definitely. But how much improvement? How much customer satisfaction level? How much and what is the level of reduction of customer complaints into the organization? How much this NC report has improved the competence of the organizations? How HR policies have been improved by an effectively NC writing system? How the productivity of the organization have been improved, how the product and service quality has improved, because that is the ultimate goal of an non-conformity writing, and putting the points, putting the language, putting the situations into NC forms and formats. So our aim is to bring improvements by the effective utilization of the NC forms, format, software systems, policies, and objectives, whatever we have into our hands or whatever we have developed in the beginning of the system, by effectively utilization of clause 9.2, which is directly related to internal auditing. Again, clause 2, we cannot write all the clauses into discussion, but as I said always into the webinar, that all clauses are equally respected and equally interrelated. No clause can run standalone into the organization, and they're all further supported by 19,011 17021 and various other supporting standards. So if you all want to learn more and more, go into the details of the sub clauses of these standards also, which I have shared earlier into the discussions. Don't get caught by the languages, by the auditors, trainers, and CB to CBs and AB to AB. Focus on the crux of the matter. Machine is having a issue, so you want to bring about improvement into the performance, machine capability, and process capability. So do that. So that's all I thought I will discuss into the NC report writing. We will further continue with this subject because this is the key to success or failure of the organization. It is both ways. NC is written negatively or not with the theme of improvements will disturb the organization. It will be waste of money for the organization, for the energy, synergy of the team and the resources. ANC written positively with the aim of improvement of the respective management system or whatever way the organization is working, because we conduct variety of courses, variety of subjects, not only the IS related courses, and improvements can be brought about into any system by a good and positive, well documented, well defined, well understood, and well closed non-conformity. So thank you very much. In next discussion, maybe next week or whenever we do it, we'll go into the filling of the form, actual writing of the NC, because now I believe that the conceptual part is done by me. Okay, you can further understand it by looking into these standards and our further and before and after webinars and get more knowledge. Okay, Apur, so it is on to you and the team for questions if they have any.
I would now introduce the participants to ask the questions if they have. I guess none of the participants has any questions as of now, so I would request the participants if they have their questions in future on the topic which was discussed by Mr. Ajay Bajpayee today, then they can always ask and put those questions in the comment section of the video, and we will be forwarding them to our speaker, and definitely he will be really happy answering them. We can now come to the conclusion of this particular session. I would say that we have been really grateful and honored by the presence of Mr. Ajay Bajpayee for presenting this wonderful topic in front of us and sharing his knowledge about such a vast and complex topic, which is common across all management system standards. I can also say with much confidence that our participants must have been really benefited by the knowledge shared by Mr. Bajpayee and have enjoyed the context of today's webinar, and it will definitely add value to their expertise and domain of work. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Ajay Bajpayee, on behalf of TNV Academy for giving your valuable time and accepting our invitation to be the guest speaker. I also thank all the participants for taking out time from their busy schedule and joining us in this webinar today. I hope to see you all again soon with an exciting new topic. I wish you all best of luck on behalf of TNV Academy for your future endeavors. Thank you so much.